How was everyone's Christmas?
Yeah, how was everyone's Christmas? How was yours? Did you go and look through some windows?
Yeah, a little bit of window Christmas tree
Gazing.
looking. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Christmas lights. Christmas lights.
Mm.
Gets dark early, doesn't it?
Yeah, around about 4:30.
Wow. It's still shocking.
Yeah, it doesn't happen on the other side of the world, does it?
No, not like that. I mean, you have to be a long way down New Zealand. You're down in the South Island, really, for the days to get, really short, where you start to feel like the sun just sort of appears. Well, yeah, we haven't had a lot of sun here. This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
I don't want to talk about it. It's been hard, actually.
Has it?
So much rain.
I'm
so
so
little
sorry.
sunshine. Oh, yeah.
I'm back in the UK now, so I will share your pain, but I don't really understand it. In the sense that where I was lovely.
Yeah, I don't need understanding anyway, but I'm happy for you. And nice to see lovely photos of you shining, looking very healthy. Amazing, given how many cocktails you...
I actually didn't drink that much. I didn't have that many cocktails. In fact, I don't think I had a single cocktail the time I was away.
Right.
I had wine. I had one beer.
I just
true?
forget that you even drink beer.
beer.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I don't drink it often. It's usually in relationship to a particular food group. I can't remember what I ate, what I drank a beer with.
Something spicy.
Could have been. Don't remember. I remember having one beer. And I had some spirits, but not mixed into a cocktail. I had them neat.
Oh, right. That's not really a cocktail, is it?
Not really, no.
I mean, it's only
just...
one step from, but...
Actually, it's two steps from, because I think to be a cocktail, you have to have 3 ingredients to be technically a cocktail.
Really?
I believe that's a true story.
As opposed to a mix...
Yeah, I mean, if you have... Exactly, a gin and tonic is not a cocktail. But if you were to have, let's say...
tonic and lime juice?
Well, I was going to say a Negroni, which is 3 elements.
Sure.
That would be a cocktail.
We should just stop and just think about a Negroni. Do you know I have a friend? Actually, he's not a close friend, but he quite likes a Negroni, and he's been to bars where he said, "I'll have a Negroni, thanks." And they say, "No, sorry, we don't make those." And he says, "Do you have Campari? Yes. Do you have vermouth? Yes. Do you have what's the other one? Gin? Yes."
Gin.
He said, "I'll have a shot of each, thanks." And he makes...
Seriously, they say they don't make them.
Yeah, he said this was in Britain that had happened. And so he asked for a glass with a slice of orange, and then then buys 3 shots and then does the mix himself.
What a curious thing to say, that we don't make them when we have the ingredients.
Yes, I don't know. That's, I've only heard that firsthand, so he might just be... He actually tried it. I saw him try it in Italy. We were at a restaurant, and they said, "No, we don't make Negronis," which was a little bit shocking, I have to say. Yeah, and so he started asking them, and of course the person didn't speak great English, and started asking him, "Do you have this? Do you have this?" So he was going to go, but they didn't have vermouth.
Which would make a good reason why they couldn't produce a Negroni.
Yeah, it was really a family restaurant, really. Very, very basic restaurant. So I don't... Negroni days.
Well, a friend brought round a bottle of gingina, or ginger, which is a liqueur from Portugal with cherries in it. It's very sweet and surprisingly strong.
Right. And how did you have that?
just neat. You sometimes have it out of a chocolate cup, which I find even more bizarre because it's like, you don't need more sweet in this. Okay,
Wait,
fine.
a chocolate cup?
Yeah, you can go to bars. There's like a place called Ginger Saint-Privel, and actually that's where this particular bottle came from. So it was a fancy bottle that was brought to us as a Christmas gift from our good friend. And we didn't have it with chocolate, but you can go to various places and have a shot of ginger with in a little chocolate cup, which you then eat.
Oh, it's just sounding like I'm lost for words.
In
It's
a good
like
way or in a bad way?
Yeah, in a really good way.
Oh, okay, right. I wasn't sure if you were thinking that
I
sounds
love
like
the idea
worst
of
thing
eating
in
a
the world.
cup, yeah, and that it's made out of chocolate.
Yeah,
It's like Willy Wonka.
it is. It's like a little bit of a boozy Willy Wonka. I must confess, I have never had aforementioned chocolate cup.
Oh.
I have seen it. No. I in fact, I think this might have been the first time I've had a ginger in a long time. I had it once in the Alentejo, probably about 15 years ago, and thought, oh my God, this tastes like cough mixture.
Right, that was back before you'd turned your
It's
liver
before-
had turned the
yeah.
corner.
Exactly. And I also think that probably it wasn't a particularly good quality that I was drinking at the time, and it was just
Bit
too
sickly.
Yeah. But I remember a couple of years ago walking through Alfama, which is a part of Lisbon, so one of the super old bits. So you've got Alfama, Moraria. These are the bits that people take photographs of, and it's all like higgledy-piggledy and houses on top of one another.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and say that I did walk through there, and I'm going to try and say that without making a joke about it. But yes, I remember that.
You did really well. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
So that area, so because you were cast out of the house, etc., etc.
But
I know you didn't do that. I know that was me. I was taking. I was
conditions.
taking.
You were
I
in
was taking.
I fully appreciate why it happened.
Oh, now I feel like a bad person. 1 week later, you get your revenge. Anyway, we were just walking through Alfama, and it was. I guess it was probably around about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we just walked past. We were just walking towards this little house on the way somewhere, and it had like those barn doors where the top half opens and the bottom half can stay shut.
Yes, I think. Yeah,
the kind of door where it's two doors, like a little.
Yes, we
doors
had
top
one
of
in
it.
our house in Masterton in New Zealand because, of course, it was Dad had a veterinary clinic, and so we used to have. Yeah, it was like a stables door, basically.
Stables door. That's
So
the
horses
word I
would
meant,
stick
not
their
a
heads
barn
out of
door.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this little old lady opened the top half of her door as we were walking towards her, just dropped a sign over the bottom half of the door, and she had this little table that sort of hooked over, sort of a kind of a Heath Robinson affair that she'd made or had made for her, and she just popped out these chocolate cups and popped a little bottle of ginger on the thing, and we were like, what's going on here? And she was selling ginger from her front room.
Do you think she'd had a food hygiene inspection?
I'm pretty confident she hadn't, but she was selling it for like €2 or €3 a pop, and all of a sudden it was like the heavens opened but instead of rain coming out, it was American tourists just crowding around. I don't know where they'd been. They were not in sight before, and they were just forming an orderly queue.
She must have appeared on one of the tour guide book things. That
must have.
If you turn up at
Yes.
this time on a Saturday, you'll.
Yeah, it was very, very fun to watch that happen. That was a couple of years ago, as I say. It wasn't this time. We were drinking ginger in our home with our friend, out of glasses, not chocolate cups. That was one boozy drink I drank, and the other boozy drink I drank was just a glass of aguardente at the end of a meal. But that otherwise,
What's
it was
that?
pretty-
Is that like a digestivo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a pretty restrained affair, all things cocktail wise.
Nice.
How about you?
I think of you as a modicum of restraint. Is that the right word? Modicum.
Yeah. I would have gone with modicum rather than modicum, but I learned from reading, not from hearing. So who knows how to say these
Oh, well, I
words.
don't know either. Modicum. I would have said modicum. Well, clearly I did say that.
Yeah, potato. Let's call the whole thing off.
Okay, great. So this is our final episode.
And it's 10 minutes and 17 seconds long. Goodbye.
Bye. It's good to catch up.
So, did you get boozy drunk, or did you have
No, not at all. No,
cock of the
not at all.
tails?
No, just we had. I've been doing a lot of baking. Just
I saw the photograph of the cheesy bread.
oh wow,
That looked good.
it's really good actually. It's cacio and pepe is the Roman dish, which is a very famous Roman pasta dish, it just means cheese and pepper. And or it's a type of cheese, and two cheeses in fact, and it's one of those dishes that it is famous in Rome, and it's one of those dishes that if they get it right, you just think, how is it possible that something could taste so good with so few ingredients? Yeah. But of course, it's not that easy to make. It's a little bit tricky to make, and Lil's had a couple of goes, and I've never really bothered. But so this is a version of it's basically cheese and pepper bread, and it was really nice. Very hard to imagine how to make it cost effective if I were to sell it, because the cost of the cheese, it's quite a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm thinking I might do that just for a laugh and see if people pay for it.
Well, it's one of those things, isn't it? Because I mean, when you're in the artisan bread world, I think people will pay quite a premium, because I think they understand how much time a sourdough takes, and then I guess if they're understanding of that, then they kind of go, oh, and the cheese on top of it, yeah, that makes sense. So maybe,
yeah, and it's so it's very, very, very scrummy bread. And then we just because I have this bread prover, which is like a container with a heater on the bottom, which you can adjust the temperature, and it turns out you can also use it as a slow cooker, which I'd never done.
Wowzers!
So yeah, we stuck a very cheap cut, a brisket, I said a brisket, and slow cooked that 10 hours, I think it was 11 hours on Christmas Day, and it was and that hilariously, although it wasn't, because we buy occasionally. I mean, that's the first meat I've bought from Riverford, which is a farm close to you. Since
it is.
It's probably a year ago, actually. I don't think I've bought any. I eat so little meat,
Yeah.
and it lasted 4 different meals. So we got 4 different meals out of it. That was half of what I bought. Anyway, long story, but yeah. So no, not really. Just very just nice food and pretty quiet. Lots of reading. Yep, it's been good. Mostly pretty good.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, and just walking in the rain.
Oh, we did a lot of walking, but it wasn't in the rain. Our Christmas Day was, for the first time ever, we went out.
Yes, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I've never done this before.
But wait, hang on. You said hang on. Oh, it was just pairing. It wasn't cocktails.
Yeah, it was wine pairing, and that was when we finished with the aguardente. Might not have been the only glass of aguardente, if I'm honest. I might have had some more at the chicken shop. I did have some more at the chicken shop because Pedro came along.
Did you go to the chicken shop after you'd had 4 hours of Christmas dinner?
I mean, not directly after, and it wasn't, in fact, after. It was before. My parents, as we discussed last week, came to see the awfulness that was...
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. So it was the night before or the night after Cirque du Soleil. We went to the chicken shop. Anyway,
right.
Christmas Day, as
did you
they
like
say.
having a dinner cooked for you, effectively?
Well, I have to say, I've always really, really enjoyed Christmas at home, and it's always felt rather lovely. But for the past couple of years, we have taken Jeff to the kennels on Christmas Eve because we've been flying out early on Boxing Day. So that means that we haven't been spending Christmas Day with Jeff. And so even though we've been at home Christmas the last couple of years, it hasn't felt particularly exciting because there's been no ridiculous creature running around. And so it's been a bit like, okay, yeah. So it actually felt quite nice going out. And we went into the restaurant, and it was kind of an L-shaped affair where you walked in, and there was like a row of tables, and then a bar, and then you kind of went through a little arch, and then to the right there was a bigger room. And the guy who brought us in said, you can choose where to sit. You can either sit on this foretop next to this family of 12, or you can have a more intimate setting around the corner. And we looked around the corner, it was just full of couples. We were like, ooh, fuck that. Let's sit next to this like exciting family of 12. Well, that turns out to have been the best decision ever. Because we were on a set menu, because it's Christmas Day, and you do your paying. And
was it full, the place, by the way?
Oh yeah, it was full. But it wasn't. It's not a big restaurant. There were maybe 30 covers, 35. It was pretty intimate.
It's artisanal, isn't it?
It is artisanal. Also, I think they probably make their money on a very large garden in the summertime.
Right.
So they've got this huge garden out the back, which obviously during the summer they can probably double the capacity of the restaurant. Yeah. This must be fascinating to anybody listening, but I forgot that I was recording this, and I'm just telling Simon, my friend, about Christmas Day. Oh my gosh, your sister will be riveted.
She'll be appalled. She'll be
like,
just...
You're talking about nothing, you pair of... Mind you, it's the new year. I mean, do we want to start with high temperature? No, we really don't, do we?
So yeah, she'll be wondering, why the hell aren't we talking about anything?
I know, well, because
I've got things to talk about, of course.
Have you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but no, you do you.
I mean, this is it's not really very interesting, except to say we chose to sit next to this big family. They leaned over and they said, "Where are you from?" in Portuguese. And we said, "Oh, from England." And then they said, "Oh, whereabouts?" English. And we said, "Oh, Plymouth." And they went, "Portsmouth?" I said, "No, Plymouth," because we always say Plymouth because it's just easier than Totnes. And then there was a really lovely kind of... Is
Portsmouth in Devon?
No, Portsmouth's on the other side of the country, but people hear Plymouth and think Portsmouth. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. Lovely chat. Very nice. And then I'd popped off to the loo, because very sensible. This is, thank you, Craig. Because I was having a wine pairing, as we sat down, Bob said, remember what Craig would do? And Craig would always make sure that he matches as much water to alcohol. So I was drinking a lot of wine, but I was also drinking a lot of water. So
it was going straight through you.
So off I popped to the loo after our second main course.
Of course you had a second main course.
Well, of course. Oh, no, we didn't have a second main course because I came back out and there was a third main course on the table.
Of course there was a third main course.
Why is there a third main course here? We're only supposed to have two. Turns out the family next to us, they'd had a special main course made for them, separate to the...
special menu, yeah.
Yeah. They'd had a roast baby goat.
Any baby goats listening, just please... close your ears, cover your ears for this next part.
Because the briskets listening shouldn't be upset, should they?
I don't know if there are any baby briskets listeners. We don't have any baby brisket listeners.
Well, you don't know. You don't know if you've got a baby brisket listener.
It's just the word baby in front of it, isn't it? Anyway, go.
Well, okay, how about we had roast kid? Is that better?
Not for our American listeners who start thinking, wait,
a
kids.
Child? So I came back and they decided they wanted to share their main course with us. So we had 3 main courses.
Wow.
I know. And then after that, we were taken on a tour of the wine cellar. And I said this to a friend and they went, why does all that weird shit happen to you? And I was like, what do you mean, weird shit? I've been to restaurants and I've never had somebody share their food or take me on a tour of the wine cellar.
Do you think you might draw... how do I ask this question? Do you think it's possible that you get that kind of thing more than other people? And if so, why do you think that might be?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously we don't know if that's the case, but...
Yeah, perhaps listeners could let us know. Do you get people sharing their food with you, strangers sharing their food with you on Christmas Day and then taking on a tour of the wine cellar? He had 3,000 bottles of wine in there. It was brilliant. Very nice, chef. Lovely man called Vitor. Anyway, you've got things that you want to talk about that are presumably much less boring than me saying that some people gave us some kid and then we had some wine.
You know, the other day, this is
Is this going to be a record scratch?
so I don't know. Maybe it's just not right though. Anyway, just one thing I noticed the other day. I have two different. Well, I have lots of different folders, but two different folders on my computer. One's called current projects, and another one's called archived projects. As you can imagine, what happens when a current project gets finished, it gets stuck into the archived projects. Do you know that midlifing is the longest running current project I have? It's still in the current projects folder.
Oh, wow. Is this you wanting to gently tell me that it's time to slide into the archive?
No, not at all. I thought you'd like to know that of all the projects I've had on the go, this one's been the longest. Not the longest
my
ever,
gosh.
but certainly the longest current.
The longest current. I think, you're my second longest collaboration.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've got some many years to go before you beat my longest collaboration.
And you'd have to stop. Or do you still think of yourselves as collaborating? I guess you do writing. You're still collaborating in that way, aren't you?
We make work together all the time. We just don't share it with anyone. So effectively we just play, which I know is weird.
No, I don't think it's weird at all.
We play and we make things all the time.
And why have you stopped sharing them?
Probably because the sense of need has diminished somewhat.
Personal need or institutional need or...
Both, personal, institutional. There is a sense that we do things for fun. And I think a couple of years ago, Bob started a little project called Please Leave Quietly. And she's actually just stopped hosting the website, which she never put anything on, which I really like, because it was effectively, she wanted to start documenting all the things that we did. And then so she invested in the website and then went, but it just doesn't seem right, does it? So I think it's just about not...
So listeners probably know, but they might not know that Bob and Lee, when I first met Bob and Lee, they were Bob and Lee. That was what they were known as a collaborative team, and were making. I was sort of thought of it as live art, really, performance art of some kind, and so it's very curious to hear you. In fact, I sort of like that, or two things. One, I think I like that idea of things being made, but not necessarily being shared. I quite like that idea. And the other thing is the Please Leave Quietly. Maybe did I ever? Because Bob once showed me and gave me a card that said either Please Leave Quietly or You Can Go Now.
Yeah, she has both of those cards.
Yes, and I think the one I have is You Can Go Now. And Bob said, yes, I keep these different cards with things written on them just in case they come in really handy if you've got a student who's just overstayed their welcome, and just give them a card that says You Can Go Now.
Which is actually a development of a friend's sister-in-law who, whether this is true or apocryphal, used to take business cards that she had printed to dinner parties that just had the phrase "Please stop talking" written on them, that she would just slide to people that she didn't enjoy talking to. Now, I never went to a dinner party.
How could you possibly do that?
I mean,
please stop talking.
Please stop talking. And just the idea of having a card that says
now,
please stop talking. Yeah, I mean, you can go now. Please leave quietly. All of them speak, I think, to a particular way of being in the world. Anyway.
And they also have this lovely little font as well. The one I have is in this quite floral font. So it's like it
printed
undermines,
very fine, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It undermines the directness of the message. Arial it is not.
No, exactly. And I think that sort of speaks to the kinds of work that we make together. So we make tiny, quiet little things for each other and for ourselves. I guess we engage in long form improvisation, which is quite fun.
Yeah, that's marriage. Just to finish, I went and had a PSA test the other day just to keep up with the medical aspects of the...
Oh, that's the blood test for your bumhole.
Yeah, I think that's not quite the language they use, but yeah, that's and I should be having them every year as a person.
Oh, because of your dad.
Family history, yeah, exactly. But it's been a few years, so and it's also a notoriously, as I think we have talked about, it's a notoriously crappy test because PSA levels naturally go all over the place, but they tend to increase as you get older anyway. So there's a point at which I think if there's some kind of unusual rise from the year before, then they start what do you call it? Taking pot shots at your prostate. They take what do you call it? Taking samples of it.
Biopsies.
Biopsies, thank you. Yeah, which is it's a little bit strange because they're just trying to. It's just luck whether they get the thing or not. So they have to keep jabbing holes in it.
Yeah, and presumably it's also part of a larger narrative around what's happening. You know,
symptoms and are there any symptoms or exactly?
Okay, and may I ask, how is everything prostate wise?
Hang on, I'm just going to check the. That's so intimate, isn't it?
I mean, it's a yeah.
No symptoms. I don't have any symptoms.
That's good. Because not long ago I went and was disappointed that I didn't have a finger up my bum.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
told
you were.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah. They don't do that in this country, as far as I can tell. They don't do.
It's PSA
don't do
test.
manual. Yeah, just
no.
PSAs.
Yeah.
Australians seem to be much keener to Australian doctors. Cortron, we'd like to hear the. We'd like to hear the lowdown. He'll just probably come back with 1 and 2 men, some of them erectile dysfunction, and that if they're only him and me in the room, it's not him. That's all I get from him. 1 and 2, Simon. 1 and 2.
I mean, there's 2 of us here as well, and I just want to say. I'm with David. So there seems to be a correlation.
You guys go and join your fun little club together.
I'm sorry. That was a low blow.
Indeed. I'm stopping recording on that note.
Okay, fine. Me too.